Good morning. Tomorrow, the miscarriage of justice that is the persecution of Tommy Robinson continues. Tomorrow, it's very, very likely. Tommy's been told that he's going to go to prison. It's very likely. Hi there, mate. It's very likely that Tommy is going to go to jail tomorrow. And it's looking, according to what he's been told, it's looking like 18 months. And that's interesting because obviously what they're trying to do is stop him standing for Parliament. They're going to try and get him in prison long enough to stop him standing as a politician. But the biggest evil in all this is Tommy was speaking out against lawbreakers. Think about this. Just think about this. He has been prosecuted for molesting child molesters. And not in the way they molest people. All he did was went up to them as they were going in to get their sentence and said, "How do you feel about the verdict?" That's all he did. And the mainstream media, the treacherous, disgusting mainstream media, do not realise that this precedent that's going to be set when Tommy goes to prison tomorrow can affect them. It is a complete assault on freedom of the press. A complete assault on that. So what do we do? Well, it's very simple. Tomorrow, tens of thousands of people need to go to the Old Bailey. Now, I feel like a hypocrite saying this because I can't get there. I'm in Northern Ireland. It's the 11th and 12th July, which is a big holiday time over here. I literally can't get across. But anybody that can get to the Old Bailey tomorrow needs to get there. And when you get to the Old Bailey, we've had the carnival atmospheres. We've had the singing and the music and the videos and all the rest of it. Tomorrow needs to be a day of rage. Tomorrow, the people need to be angry. I'm not inciting people to break any laws, but people need to be extremely angry tomorrow with the treatment of Tommy Robinson, with the persecution of him, because it's not just him that's been persecuted. It doesn't matter what you think of Tommy. I personally like him. I know him. He's a friend of mine. That's not the issue. If you don't like him, you don't know him, you don't like him, that's not the issue. The issue is freedom of speech, freedom of the press, freedom for patriots. So if you're a patriot in this country and you believe in the things that we believe in, you want sovereignty, you want democracy, you want freedom of speech, you want freedom of religion, you want to make sure that our country isn't turned into a horrible, cold and wet Mogadishu. If that's you and you love this country, get to the Old Bailey tomorrow. If you can, get to the Old Bailey tomorrow and support Tommy. And let's say we need to be extremely angry about this. There needs to be righteous anger, righteous indignation, because our cause is right and true and just. And even if you're left-leaning, if you're on the left and you believe in freedom of speech, and you really believe in freedom of speech, you should be terrified by this. And you should be standing with us tomorrow, not protesting against us. You should be standing with patriots tomorrow, saying, I support the stand that Tommy Robinson has taken for freedom. And way back at the beginning of when I first got involved in this movement with the veterans, I said to them, the most important issue in this is freedom of speech. And we put that in our mission statement. We were talking about jailing jihadis and all the rest of it. But I insisted on putting freedom of speech in the mission statement because it's absolutely vital that we protect freedom of speech and freedom of religion in this country. And the reason that Tommy is going to prison, Tommy is a political prisoner if he goes to jail tomorrow. It's as simple as that. He is a political prisoner. Nelson Mandela wasn't a political prisoner. Nelson Mandela was a terrorist. But Tommy, if he goes to prison tomorrow, is going to prison because of his politics, because of what he believes. It's as simple as that. They've got him on some trumped up charge. We know the way they work. They'll get any of us if they want to get us, and they'll lock us up. Not only is he a political prisoner, if he goes into prison, the prisons are run by Muslim gangs. There's no doubt about it. I don't care what the establishment say. That is a fact. When you talk to people that have been in jail, I was speaking to a veteran the other day, and he said to me, when you go into prison, you are told not to identify yourself as a veteran because you'll be in danger from the Muslims. How much more danger is Tommy going to be under if he goes into prison tomorrow? So we need to be extremely angry. Yeah, exactly. We can't compare, and that I did a video about this yesterday. You can't compare Nelson Mandela and Tommy Robinson, because Nelson Mandela was a terrorist. Tommy is a freedom fighter, a patriot, and a lover of this country, a hero. The guy in Politico says he'll get the full 2 years. They probably will try and give him the full 2 years, because they want to take him out of the political realm, but they won't. They won't succeed. But we've got to stand with him. We as a people have got to stand with Tommy, and we've got to support Tommy. And while he's in prison, we've got to get him out. We've got to get him out, and we've got to let the establishment know. We've got to let the establishment know that this cannot stand. That Tommy cannot be left to rot in a prison cell for speaking out against paedophiles who were raping children. That's all he was doing. He was highlighting it because and why does he highlight it? Because it happened to one of his family members. She disappeared. She was taken by a rape gang, and she was disappeared. It's an absolute scandal. So tomorrow, tens of thousands of people outside the Old Bailey. That's what's needed. And that needs to be an extremely angry crowd. An extremely angry crowd. That crowd needs to be extremely hostile. I'm not talking about breaking the law. I'm talking about being angry and aggressive within the law. Because they're not listening to us. They're not paying any attention. They don't care about what we say. Maybe it's a bit of righteous anger will wake up the state and stop them persecuting an innocent man. This is a scandal, what's happening. This is disgusting. It's despicable. And we've got to do something about it. I'm a veteran, but I notice the veterans groups are staying out of it. Well, I'm a veteran, and I would appeal to anybody in Veterans Against Terrorism. I'm banned from Facebook, so I can't make an appeal on Facebook. In fact, if you're a veteran and you're in Veterans Against Terrorism, please share this video on the Veterans Wall. Every single veteran should be there. Every single veteran should be at the Old Bailey tomorrow, because this is what we fought for. And our state, you see, the problem is a lot of people haven't woken up to the fact that our state is against us. The state is the enemy of the people. The establishment are the enemy of the people. They do not care about me or you. Boris Johnson hasn't even agreed to stand for veterans' rights yet. He's meant to be this great hope for the nation. So we need to get tens of thousands on the street. And when protests start throughout the country, which they will start, and we've got a plan. We're not going to leave Tommy rotting in jail. We've got a plan for what we can do throughout the country. It'll be legitimate, and it will be within the law. But the establishment will realise they have made a huge mistake in sending Tommy to prison. And we will have widespread action throughout the country, protesting about what's happened to Tommy. So, yes, the veterans should be there, 100%. The veterans should be involved in this. This is connected. All these things are connected. We've got to understand Brexit, the persecution of veterans, the persecution of patriots, the persecution of Tommy Robinson. Now, remember, Tommy's not the only person to be prosecuted. Paul Rimmer was prosecuted for speaking, just for making a speech. Jada Franson was prosecuted just for making a speech. And it goes on and on and on. And this is an assault on freedom of speech. You see, freedom of speech in the UK has limitations. And the limitation is, if you say anything that's to the right of Chairman Mao, you're going to land up in jail. It's as simple as that. That's what we're up against today. Johnson said he will stop the prosecutions of veterans when he becomes Prime Minister. Yeah, but the DUP have gone to him with a covenant that the other fella signed, who I don't like either, and Johnson hasn't signed it yet. So Johnson, the pressure needs to be put on Johnson that he makes a rock solid commitment that he'll stick to that, and he needs to give commitments to the DUP to say that he's going to do that. Justice for Tommy. You see, there is no justice in this country. When a man standing against rapists, paedophiles, murderers and terrorists is imprisoned, and those very people are walking the streets free as a bird, there's something very badly wrong in this country. And yeah, so just get there tomorrow. Get there tomorrow. Any idea if the FLA groups are attending? I hope the DFLA and the FLA and all the football firms in London. There's no excuse. Listen, if you're in a football firm in London tomorrow, there's no excuse if you're not at the Old Bailey. Like I say, it doesn't matter whether you like Tommy or not, or whatever you think about him. I like him, but if you don't, it doesn't matter. You should be there tomorrow because it's a freedom of speech issue. This is a patriot issue. If you're in a football club, in any of those groups, DFLA, FLA, Chelsea lads, whoever you are, I just say to you, get to the Old Bailey tomorrow and protest for Tommy peacefully. If you're a veteran, get to the Old Bailey. If you're a patriot, get to the Old Bailey. You've got to do it. Right, I'm going to go because we've got a lot going on across here in Northern Ireland with the usual celebrations. So I will see you all soon, and the state better realise this is not over with putting Tommy in prison. I think they're probably just giving themselves a big headache. They're probably going to regret locking him up. See you soon.